So the old boys against the rookies. It's a bit of a debate I've been having in my mind, as some people have mentioned it in the comments as well. A team of young guys against a team of old guys. I've decided to pick two teams, all Southern Hemisphere, so this is all kind of Australia, it's just Rugby Championship teams, Australia, New Zealand, Argentina, and South Africa. And I've picked two teams, only the starting 15s. I haven't picked the subs. You guys might have to help me with some of the guys I missed for the subs bench. But guys who should be eligible for those teams. So I'm pretty sure steered clear of like New Zealand guys based abroad. They can't be chosen. But yeah, I've drawn the line at 32 and over and then 22 and under. So two teams. 32 and over is your veterans, 22 and under. In theory, it's your rookies, but in some cases, it's actually some fairly established players. But we'll have a look. You guys can tell me the guys I've missed, who I should have had, and also which team do you think is going to win? Because there's a fair bit of experience against a fair bit of youth. I'll start with these experienced guys. The front row, and I should say, when I looked up these guys, obviously the old guys, it doesn't matter because they were at least 32. Some of the young guys may have had birthdays to become 23 since I did the research, which was just over a week ago, but I don't think so. At time of research, it was correct. The front row for the 32 and overs. I'll start with the established veterans, and we'll see how these challenges go against them. I've got the Beast at loose head, Augustine Creevy at hooker, and Sekopi Kepu on tight head. So you got 33 years old, 33 years old, 32 years old. That's a pretty experienced front row. That's an international front row, a South African veteran, an Argentinian veteran, and a Wallaby veteran. I'm pretty happy with that. That's an impressive front row for any team. The locks, surprisingly, a little bit. Perhaps locks need a bit more mobility than some of their other positions. But I've got Luke Romano in the second row along with Alex Ainley. So two Kiwis there. 32 and 37. So Ainley is definitely on the senior side, but he put in a pretty solid shift in Super Rugby this year. I may be missing a lock, especially with South Africans abroad. So let me know who I've missed there. But yeah, that's a pretty solid type 5. I'm not sure about Ainley, but definitely all the rest is international quality. The back row, I'm pretty happy with this. I have gone with some senior guys in some positions, or especially one. I've gone Dwayne Vermeulen on the blind side, so I'm going to put him at 6 because I'm going to do this the traditional 6 as a blind side. Open side, I'm putting George Smith. He's 38. Vermeulen's 32. And Kieran Reid at number 8. That's a pretty class back row. I mean, you might say George Smith at 38 is getting a bit long on the tooth. The guy is still playing well. He's still playing top-level rugby at 38. The thing about him is he's never relied on physicality or speed. It's his mind that gets him. He knows when to go in and when to leave it. That's kind of what makes him such a dangerous player. He knows when to compete at the breakdown. So, I mean, Vermeulen's an absolute tackle-busting machine. Kieran Reid's got hands of a back, and Smith's an absolute poacher. So that's a pretty solid looking 4-pack in my point of view. We'll go to the backs. The backs may be a little bit more difficult because you think with the backs maybe leaning a bit more towards the youth. Scrum half, number 9, I've gone with Ron Pienaar. He's 34. He's still playing over there in France for Montpellier. He's still kicking goals. He plays 9 or 10, but I'll put him at 9. He's going to do a job and he can kick the goals. But, I mean, I've got a man outside him who's renowned for his goal kicking. I've gone with Mornay Steyn at number 10. He's 34. I thought about Dan Carter, but Dan Carter's playing in Japan, so not eligible for the All Blacks. So I've kind of ruled him out of this team. But wouldn't it be nice to have Dan Carter in there as well? So, yeah, Pienaar and Steyn, kind of two traditional South African picks there. Outside of them, I've gone with some kind of, I suppose, explosive players. I've gone with Sonny Bill Williams at inside centre, so he's 33 years old, the offload king. And outside of him, recently returned to New Zealand, so I'm assuming is eligible, even though he's not currently playing for anybody, but he will be next season. I've gone with Ma'anonu at outside centre. So 36 years old. Him and Sonny Bill have got a bit of experience together, and that's despite their age in terms of size and power. That's a pretty intimidating looking midfield. Outside backs have probably proved the hardest to find guys who are 32 or above. I guess, as you get older, if you're a guy who relies on your pace, it's going to be more difficult. But on the left wing, I've gone with JP Peterson. He's 32. We'll see if he can do a job at his age on the wing. On the other wing, I've gone with Lavazi Mambovo. He is 32 as well. He's still playing outside in the outside backs at his age, so yeah, he may not be as quick as he used to be, but he's still there. And fullback, I've gone with Ben Smith, who's 32 years old. He's still world class at his age, so no qualms with putting him there. But yeah, that is the team of seniors, 32 and above. I'm fairly happy with it, to be fair. Definitely there are areas that could be stronger, but there's definitely some big names in there. Now, if we look to this kind of challenging team, the young guys, how are they going to compare? Well, we'll have a look and then I'll talk to that. So, front row, perhaps not quite as intimidating. I've gone with Harry Johnson-Holmes on the loose head, Brendan Paenga-Amosa at hooker, and Taniela Tupou on the tight head side. So, 3 Aussie guys. Johnson-Holmes still kind of a rookie in the loose head role, but Paenga-Amosa and Tupou have both played for the Wallabies. Tupou's perhaps not as impressive as we thought he might have been in this Rugby Championship just gone, but he's still very young for an international tight head, so he's got lots of room to grow. It's got a bit of dynamism there for what it lacks in experience. In the locks, I've gone with Isaac Rodda, who's 21, also a Wallaby, and Lukan Tui, who's 22. So that's an all Aussie type 5. I think they probably could use someone who's going to make a few tackles in that type 5. None of them are renowned kind of exceptional work rate guys, but for guys who are 22 or under, I think there's only one guy who's not been capped internationally, so it's not. I still think I like my experience type 5 a bit better, a fair bit better, but yeah, there's still enough guys there to do what they're made to do. The back row, I've put recently called up, and I put his name down before he was called up to the All Blacks. Dalton Papali'i on the blind side, he's only 20. Marcos Kremer on the open side, playing for the Jaguares and the Pumas very well. On the open side, he's only 21. And a Lions guy who I've seen not that much of, but from what I've seen of him, he looks really good. Hakaliva Daimani, 21 years old. Really dynamic number 8 to the point where they're trying to convince him to play in the backs. Big, strong guy, and he can move. So he's got bags of potential. He's only going to get better as he gets older. And Papali'i just been called up to the All Blacks. Kremer already an established Puma. So I'm probably a bit happier with that back row than I am the type 5. But yeah, still pretty solid. Scrum half, I've gone with Ambrose Papia. Didn't get much time with the Springboks, did he? But he's still in that mix. Kind of in and out of the Bulls squad this season. He's quick. He obviously needs to work on his game. There's things that the coaches see they need to see more from him. But yeah, he's a guy who I can see with a bit of potential. Fly half, I've gone with Damien Willemse. He's only 20. He's again in the Springboks setup. Can play fullback. He played magnificently for the Stormers as far as I'm concerned in a kind of forgettable season. A bit of injuries, but again, bags of potential from this guy. He is a dynamic young player. Now, midfield and outside backs, like there are so many outside backs that I've kind of had to shuffle things in to fit everybody in. Inside centre, I've put Rico Ioane. Now, he's probably one of the world's best wingers, but I've moved him, doing what the Blues are doing, which I kind of criticise the Blues for, and I'm putting him at inside centre. The stocks at outside back are just that deep that I wanted a class player to move in because there's just so much competition for the outside backs. Obviously, I'd put him on the wing if I had my choice, but to accommodate this team, I've put him at inside centre. He's played there a bit. It's not his best position, but with a bit of good coaching, defensively especially, he he could perhaps contain Sonny Bill running at him. He's certainly got more gas than Sonny Bill, so if he can get outside him, he's going to make him look silly. And Martin Ono at his age as well. Outside centre, I've gone with Jordan Pataya. Is his name Jordan? It's definitely Pataya. I've got him outside centre. He's only 18, but he's 6'3" at 18 years old. He's played outside centre. He's played wing. You think 18, you think scrawny, but this guy's a big 18-year-old, and he's got some gas. He's one to watch for the Wallabies going forward as well, because he's kind of around that conversation as well. But at 18, still very, very young and lots of time to develop. Outside backs, so many choices. I've put Jack Maddox on the left wing. He's only 21, versatile player, fairly big size-wise, not huge, but solid. And he's good under the high ball, got a bit of gas. Batista Delgui on the right wing, 21. The guy's been magic for the Pumas. He's got amazing feet. He's got huge gas. He runs really amazing lines. So he could make some people look silly as well. And I've gone with Geordie Barrett, fullback. He's 21. He's criticised by some for kind of being put into the All Blacks ahead of perhaps schedule. Like he's not really earned the spot. He's kind of writing off the Barrett name. But at only 21, he's still got lots of potential. He can cover the midfield if needs be. Got a big boot on him. So, yeah, I mean, there's so many outside backs. I could have gone with Will Jordan, who's been tearing it up in the Mitre 10 Cup. Keep an eye on him for next year. I could have gone with Kerwin Bosch. I could have gone with Madash Tambwe. So many outside backs. So those are the two teams, the old guys against the young guys. How would they go together or against each other? Obviously, you look at those forwards in that elders senior team, and you think they're probably going to grind the young guys into the dust. But in terms of a bit of pace, those outside backs on that young team are going to find some space, and they're going to cut some people up. So I guess it would depend on who the coaches are. If you're the coach of that seniors team, maybe keep things a bit tight and focus on using a bit of that bulk and experience. And if you're the coach of that young team, try to get them as much space as possible, little kicks through, turn those big old bodies around and see how they go. But yeah, you guys let me know your thoughts on the squads. Again, I haven't picked subs because it was in some areas it was getting pretty tricky to find guys. And some areas there were just loads and loads of talent that I've had to skip. But you guys can let me know your thoughts on who should have made it and how you think these teams would go against each other here. It's been a bit of fun. Kind of wraps up the Rugby Championship anyway, because we've been seeing a lot of these players. But it's not long till November. This is kind of what I do when I'm waiting for more internationals to start, as I sit here pondering how these teams would go against each other. But yeah, you guys let me know your thoughts. I'll talk to you again soon. See you later.